A classic Filipino plate looks like adobo, rice, and high cholesterol. Diabetes and high blood pressure are some of Filipinos' leading health issues, and a lot of these are tied to eating habits. Filipino food is often characterized for its fried dishes, fatty sauces, and innovative use of every part of the animal. But what makes Filipino food Filipino? And is it actually unhealthy? I'm Sapphire Sandalo, and this is Breaking the Tabo, where we digest real After years of schoolmates shaming me for my baon, they've gone from, oh, what is that smell? To, what is that smell? Which is a simple way of saying that Filipino food has finally entered foodie culture. But some of our most classic Filipino dishes didn't even originate in the Philippines. Which probably explains why Latinos want to fight me every time I say leche flan is a Filipino dessert, or that we eat champurrado, not drink it. While fusion foods today are seen as trendy, like Korean corn dogs or adobo tacos, the Philippines have been doing it for years, with each dish representing different influences from trading routes, colonization, and imperialism. Everyone loves lumpia, including Karen. But did you know lumpia originated from Chinese settlers in the 17th century? Not only that, but also caldereta was brought in during Spanish colonization. And Spam was popularized during the Second World War to feed American soldiers stationed in the Philippines before it became an iconic breakfast for Filipinos. Prior to modern American imperialism, Filipino food was locally sourced and truly organic, meaning their food tended to be more fresh and natural. Yeah, before Whole Foods was even a thing. Then everything changed when Spain gave up their power over the Philippines to the lands of the free and home of the fried food? Years of exploitation by countries trying to save us have resulted in cultural habit shifts that have created short-term solutions but long-term problems. From 1898 to 1946, America introduced fast and fried foods to us, solving the problem of many Filipinos who needed cheap and convenient sustenance for their families. Along with military bases, America also brought the Philippines canned food, soft drinks, and processed meat, which all became staples in our classic Filipino diet. Let's talk to Amanda Sevilla, a clinical and plant-based dietitian.
So they brought over McDonald's, they brought over the more industrialized concept of fried chicken and kind of normalized eating meat as the staple of the meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
We can't forget that what we eat just comes down to what we can afford. Some families are able to buy heaps of vegetables, while others make do with a can of corned beef. So you eat what you have access to. To be able to call a type of food unhealthy can be a privilege stemmed from having access to other alternatives. Regardless of the choices you make, this is not about shaming, especially when that's already so present in our community, and we can save that conversation for a later time. So who's to say vegan Filipino food can't do the same? And if you need advice on how to approach your family members, here's what Amanda has to say about our cultural values and how we can best inform ourselves and our relatives.
Food is a very personal thing. It's very heavily laden with emotions and just personal identities, especially for older Filipinos. I can understand why it would be hard to decrease the intake of meat or even just switch it out completely, because a lot of them kind of identify with that because that's their culture, that's their mom's cooking, that's them growing up. It's not just about the food, it's like the memories that surround it. The biggest thing in Filipino culture that I would say is the most detrimental to health is just the amount of cholesterol and saturated fat in conjunction with sodium that also increases blood pressure. I'm a proponent of more. So instead of taking things out, I encourage people to add more vegetables, add more fresh fruits. Fun fact, the number one risk factor of chronic disease in the United States is an inadequate intake of fruit. If you have some like bok choy in your stir fry, try adding like a little extra, or add some more spinach to your sinigang. And then the next thing would be to decrease animal product consumption. Even decreasing your consumption by like 15 to 20% has been shown to improve the risk of getting chronic diseases and cancer.
But no one eats Filipino food to be healthy. It's good for the soul, not for the heart. But maybe there's other ways to have healthier alternatives. For example, did you know these Filipino foods were vegan?
Turon is usually vegan. Puto, suman, Filipino food is really, really easy to veganize. Say for adobo, for example, you could take out the meat and use tofu. Like if it's pressed, it soaks up the flavors really well. You can also just use, if it's available to you, any meat alternatives. And then you can also just do straight up mushrooms or just put like potatoes in there. The flavor profile of Filipino food it's just like soy sauce and vinegar and a little bit of sugar in just different ratios. And it's mostly like meat is there to add like that fatty coating on the tongue and also a little bit of chewiness. So if you can find a type of food that kind of fits that, where it's like it has a nice chew to it and will soak up flavor, then it's already easy to make.
Although the label Filipino food tends to include mostly Tagalog food, regional cuisine gives us a different look into other eating habits within the Philippines that are both healthy and full of veggies. Muslim communities in the South tend to avoid pork and eat chicken and tuna instead. Ilocanos tend to eat way more vegetables than Tagalogs and therefore have longer lifespans. And Bicolanos, where I'm from, have staple veggie dishes like laing.
There's no restrictions to Filipino food. So whether you're going out for a kamayan or cooking your Lola's recipes at home, just enjoy it. Our food is always changing, so I wonder what it'll look like in the next 100 years.
Thank you to Kumu for sponsoring this episode. Can't get enough of Filipino food talk? Tune in for mukbangs, how-to cooking videos, and Filipino food trivia with everyday Filipinos around the world. Kumu even has weekly discount coupons and free delivery to all through the Philippines. Download the app and let's continue these conversations on livestream.